Hope so.
I hope so.
Yeah. Meanwhile, through private charity group called the Fisher House Foundation, they have vowed to fund military death benefits during the government shutdown. Pete Hegseth, CEO for Concerned Vets for America, says it's not a solution, though.
He says it's the government's responsibility and that the Department of Defense should find the funds. And Pete, welcome back.
Thanks.
Chuck Hagel really says, as Secretary of Defense, he says his hands are tied. He turned up at Dover, talking to the families and being there when the caskets were brought home. Do you buy that?
Well, this administration's known, the Pentagon's known about this for a long time. Pentagon lawyers have been looking at it for a long time.
But they feel like they're helpless.
Well, this administration's found loopholes through executive order or other things time after time after time. So for them, also the Defense Department's brought back 345,000 furloughed workers in the last couple of weeks. I mean, they've found dollars where they've need to find. How can we not find a $100,000 death gratuity to families? We've lost 17 in Afghanistan since the shutdown.
You know, and Pete, we were talking about this earlier. The Republicans, when they passed that bill before the actual shutdown, they thought that, you know, anybody who was killed in action would be covered under this. But then the White House lawyers, Department of Justice, the Department of Defense lawyers, they got in a room. And I mentioned earlier, according to some of the papers, some Republicans say the administration deliberately obstructed the payments. I mentioned Karl Rove. I was just setting up his soundbite. I don't know if he feels that way. But do you think the White House and the administration was just trying to inflict some pain to make their point about the shutdown?
Veterans and military families have been the central part of this administration's Washington Monument strategy. Whether it was the World War II memorial, whether it's the VA benefits, we're seeing some workers being furloughed, but we haven't seen, they're not missing services at the Department of Veterans Affairs. And then for these death gratuity benefits, they've known about it. They didn't want it to come out. It's been exposed. But now they want it to come out as part of the pain that we're feeling through this shutdown to make it. And then they want to point it at Republicans and say Republicans are the
So why the delay then? Are you saying there's intentions are bad or there's inadequate leadership?
I'm saying they want veterans and families to feel the pain.
They, the White House?
They, the White House, because it turns the temperature up on the shutdown, which I think they believe benefits them in a long-term strategy. They don't hate veterans or military families. I would never purport that. But I think they know where to turn the screws. They know where to turn the temperature up. I think it will backfire on them. I think we're seeing it backfire on them. But they want to turn this up so that people go, we can't have this government shut down anymore. We got to find a solution. And their White House is hoping it'll be on their terms.
It's interesting, too, because Republicans are known to have the most sympathy and be more like-minded with the military. And that really goes into the sequester. Remember the sequester? I know that the Republicans are going to go through the sequester because it means such massive cuts to the military. Republicans love the military. But we actually got through, and the military has paid the brunt of that.
This is on top, of course, of what the military's already
$1.2 trillion in cuts.
Sequestration. Absolutely. This is a bad time made even worse by the dysfunction we're seeing. No one can figure it out. That's a lot. We don't need finger-pointing winners and losers. Right now, veterans are looking for some leadership.
Sure.
And if they wanted to show leadership on this issue, thank goodness we've got the Fisher House. You know, I'm all for public-private partnerships, but Duncan Hunter was right. Why in the world should a private organization step in and fill this role that is a central, it is an indication of how our government feels about that final sacrifice families give, and we can't find $100,000? It's an absolute outrage.
It is outrageous. All right, Pete Hegseth, we thank you very much.
Thank you.
All set.
All right, 28.